Okay, guys, I should be live. Hi, and welcome to this first book discussion, the first three books of the Horus Heresy. I'm sorry that I'm late, but unfortunately, someone decided to flag my latest OnlyFans teaser because the thumbnail was apparently nude or something, which is not. So, yeah, I got a false flag and I had to complain to YouTube. And I hope that they're gonna resolve this because I don't know why would somebody want to do such a thing, but apparently there is all kinds of people that gonna false flag your videos for no reason. Anyway, we have an amazing topic today, and if you guys like these, and that's the first live discussion, like I said, of a book, I'm going to do more. I thought that live discussion was much better than just a video standing in a chair with a cup of tea like Arch and just telling the books, like a storyteller. That's not what I do. I basically prefer to dissect what is important to me. That's why the title is Takeaways and Discussion. So basically the major things that stood out to me and to you, and we're going to discuss all of that tonight. So first, guys, hi to everybody in the chat. My dear Primarchs are here. Sorry, dear Clyton, Ivy, Dark. Hi to you, Logar. Greetings, David. Hi to you. Nino is here. LK is here. Yes. Yeah, brothers and sisters. So, yeah, guys. Okay. Well, thank you, Nino. So let's start because I do want to not only get into the meat of things for those of you that are going to watch recorded, but also I have to get to Assassin's Creed before it's midnight. Well, everybody has their right of opinion, okay, so you can like whoever you want, of course. Okay, so the first books that I read, as many of you know, were actually the Night Lord's omnibus, which I plan to talk about, but it was not that much to my heart. Maybe when I get to cover something else like Voldemort's video about them or something like that, I'm going to interject my thoughts on the three books or something like this. I'm still thinking about, and of course it depends on what you like to see. Yeah, those three books, and of course I just can't wait to get to the Horus Heresy books. So starting with Horus Rising. Horus Rising first. I'm going to try to, just like I've said, point out what stood out to me. But the first book, basically, what it stood out to me was mostly about Horus himself and his personality, how he operates, how he thinks as a leader, how he treats his the people that are under him, the Astartes, his commanders, all of that. I'm sorry if I call somebody with not the right term, but you know what I mean. And yeah, what it was really interesting is that he is very how to say this, composed when he wants to be, and diplomatic, and really with the interactions that he had with the interacts, or how are they called, damn it. I always like I I'm not very good at names. I'm very good at a lot of visual things, but not when remembering names. But yeah, that human Jesus Christ, it's live. Civilization, sorry. That that they want to had some talks with and try to integrate them into the imperium, and they had other great technologies and their own culture, and it was so interesting how they were how they progressed on their own, you can say, and how Horus wanted to be very, very honorable, like respectful to them. So that was amazingly interesting to see how he was, this guy that he tries. I mean, guy is like ridiculous to say, I mean, to call a Primarch a guy, but you know what I mean. He is a leader, definitely displays such qualities at the beginning. And well, in general, he does. But all the books, I mean, are written in such a way that you see these qualities that are the good qualities, then you see um, how they manifest with their deeds and their words, and then you see the opposite of that. And that is some of the discussions that I also had with some of you in the comments. Basically, that the Primarchs are supposed to be these beings that do not think as human, and the Astartes as well, to a certain extent, that they have notions, thoughts, just their whole thought process, when you compare it to a human one, does not actually match. But in the same way, whatever they do, act, speak, all those things are exactly human as we are used to them. So how do you think about then, how do you perceive then the Primarchs and the Astartes if everything about them is extremely flawed, but then again you read how they're these so intelligent beings that process information in like split of a second like Superman, and then they go and do something extremely ridiculous or petty or dumb or just illogical in a way. I mean, there's a lot of examples of that. Right now, I just have the three books in a mishmash in my head, so I'm just going to try to, order things. But I'm gonna look at your comments because before I continue. So yeah, I see that you're writing stuff. The point is to have a discussion as well. Oh, Logar, hi to you. Okay. About Arch, well, everybody has their own style, but I do think that 40k has too much in it to dig in, and just to tell it, like to tell the story, like so casually is not what you're going to. Is not actually the takeaways. The takeaways are the things that actually matter in the story, not the little tiny things and the events that happen, but I mean, the events themselves, most of the time, they don't have the significance in a broader term of them sometimes, but what exactly happened, how people reacted in these events is what really matters and where the meaning lies. So that is where I like to focus when I dissect a particular novel or whatever it is that it's worth thinking about, because that's the meat of things. That's actually the soul of the story. Is not who hit who in the head, but why, and yeah, why. That's a very interesting analogy that I just did. Okay, so getting back to your comments before I continue. Ah, oh yeah, Samus guy. That was interesting. Basically, the the devil in a sort in a way. That was very weird to listen into. I mean, in that audiobook format, because it was super scary sounding and whispering, and my bunny was extremely scared by that. And I was in the kitchen just passing by my bunny, and she was like, poor bunny. I stopped it right away. She was absolutely freaked out by that. Hi to 8AFM4. Hi to, I never seen you before in the chat, I don't think. Okay, let's see now what you guys are saying. So you say, I think the issues come from the fact that there are good and great writers. I would say that the Black Library writers are good and I could be great. And could be great if they weren't pumping out so many books. Yeah, I also heard the argument that it's very hard to write the Primarchs or the Astartes because of their nature. So sometimes their actions might be interpreted as dumb or illogical, but in the fact, but like they're not. But that only makes sense halfway because we are humans. I mean, we the readers. So when you have to come out with a fictional character, if you don't write them in the way that they could be understood, and then if you write them in the same time in a way that they sound exactly like human with all the human flaws, especially with a ton of them, like emotion being first before reason, one of the main problems of humanity in general, emotion to get in front of reason, then of course that we are going to be like, oh, okay, so he is like super immature, this guy, and he is going not with his reason, logic, and whatever he's supposed to be um, like created for, or that is one of the things that are supposed to be the primary drive of his being. It turns out it is totally opposite. So yeah, when it's contradictory this way, then the actions of these characters speak louder than the words or the description about them and their uh, abilities that are beyond human. Physically, they're beyond human in every way, yeah, but only physically to say how they're so much above and beyond. That's fine. That is easily measurable because it's physical. But then when you see their actions, how they actually think and their thought process, their emotional process, it's ridiculous. So that's why we have to talk about Horus and how he turned within the borders of these three books. Because how he turned, that's the interesting thing. So throughout the three books, there are some hints. You can say hints about it through other characters like Loken, as far as I remember. He started to get curious about the chaos, what that is, and we see that all the Astartes, basically how they think in their combined uh, combine well numbers. They are not educated on that because the emperor said that, well, the warp is this thing that we use for travel, but ghosts and other stuff like that, or that's just silly superstition. But then he sees more and more that that's not the case, and he starts to get intuitively interested in all of that. So you see that the story goes in that direction little by little with each and every hour of the book that passes, and then with each book itself. And of course, you see how Horus, from very composed and very, like I described them, the, this reasonable leader that even is ready to extend his respect to, basically, well, not exactly Xenos, but I mean, Xenos not in that way, but the point is to other other race, other people that they're supposed to be compliant and all of that, and he could be just like, well, we're just gonna take them by force. But no, he wants to show respect, and you know and then it's the opposite, that anathema weapon gets stolen, and the Interacs, if I mistaken their name once again, I apologize. I'm gonna check your comments in just a sec, just to finish my thought. uh, they immediately think, well, it's you, of course, and Horus is like, no, we didn't do anything like that. And all hell breaks loose, and they, yeah, fight. Fight starts, bloodshed. It's It's horrible. So you see how he can be immediately, aggressive, but you don't actually see it just yet. I mean, you see that, yeah, he's ready to act when he is pressed against the wall. You also see all the burden that he carries because he's the war master and the emperor gave him all of that responsibility on his head. And Horus sees that there's no room for error, that he cannot make mistakes, but at the same time he does make mistakes. So here is the interesting point where when you read or listen to the book, you just have to like get into his thought process somehow. I mean, at least for me, it's a very interesting moment because he is trying mm, to reason with this choice of the emperor for him to be the chosen one. And at the same time, he's like, this is like a lot to handle, but he does have some pride that goes with that. So he feeds his ego, and at the same time he complains that, well, not complain is not that not in that direct way, but I think that it's implied a few times that in himself he feels that that is simultaneously too much, but he is proud that he is in this position, and he feeds his ego with that, and he names his sons the sons of Horus instead of the Lunar Wolves. So initially he doesn't want to do that, but then he does. So you kind of, I mean, that is what I'm talking about when I say, well, you see gradually how he gets more into his ego, and he kind of gets defensive, in that defensive mindset against the emperor, one by one. So this is all just ever so slightly subconscious, but then it comes to be fully conscious when he is finally put into the warp, so to speak, and he is shown all of these visions of made out future and how the emperor is going to create this world where he is worshipped as a god and Horus is nowhere to be found, in between or next to the emperor or his brothers, and that makes him butthurt very, very much so. But all of that he sees is like he's already made himself open to that prior to this happening. If you get into, I mean, like I said, each and every one of these indications that are presented in the books before that moment where he is injured and he is brought to Devon, I think was it, to be healed, and when he sees all of that, he already has the base for betraying the emperor, all like prepared and ready. And when he actually sees what's happening, and although he rejects that, and he's like, what's going on here, you're trying to lie to me, or you're trying to deceive me, you're not actually my captain, or that whoever was leading him, the one of the sons of Logar, I forgot his name, that was pretending to be Horus's one of his right hand men, yeah, Horus does display a level of doubt. At least he's not right away, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna betray the father, like super, he does he does wrestle with that, but he gets angry immediately. I mean, he starts to get angrier and angrier and angrier and more angry, and you see that emotional immaturity that I was talking about. You see, how I mean, where is the chink of his armor? It's not, definitely not in his intelligence or the way that he processes information per se. He seems to be processing that information at the speed that we all were going to do the same. I mean, that we are. But then in the emotional side of things, his conviction of what he's doing for the Imperium and the Emperor, and the Emperor's agenda, goal, all of that, all of a sudden that just falls apart and he ends up believing whatever they show him. And then, of course, Magnus shows up, so we're going to touch upon that part, but I'm gonna hit a pause on my thoughts too here, and I'm gonna look at what your guys are saying because I see that you're aligning a lot. So let's catch up real quick. And the other thing is, of course, guys, that once again, that is all how I like to dig in to certain literature. Is not something that you should subscribe to, but it's how I saw things. So yeah, that's why I decided to share that with you guys because you did want me to let you know what I think about the 3 books. So it's not so much of what I think about the 3 books as piece of literature and novels, but it's more like what they mean about the whole story, lore, and 40k, and how are those things written to somehow make sense. Which the making sense of things is another topic on its own. But oh yeah, and the serpent symbolism and how it was explained to Loken, as far as I remember, about the serpent by Kirill, I think. How it symbolizes and symbolized through the ages of humanity, evil basically, and all of that. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying, because when I start talking about those things, I'm just gonna, yeah, have to pause, gather my thoughts anyway. Okay. Okay, let's see where I was at. Oh, yeah, Ivy understands me perfectly, yes. No, hi Rat. Intelligence is not the problem here. It's the ego. I mean, we have to differentiate what is the ego, what is intelligence. Intelligence is your ability to process information that is very like in general, but how you process information and how you use it then, and how you use it. So how you process it and how you use it, that's basically it. And the ego is tied to your emotion, and it can cloud your judgment to the point where you're not objective. So a wise person would be able to look at things from an outside perspective, regardless if it's about himself, or someone else. That wise person is always capable of judging a situation, no matter about who it is. That is what wisdom is, to have this zoom out perspective of things and to be able to always see how things really are without having any kind of a bias that come from your personal likes or dislikes, agenda, or all of that. Just to see things how they are to the best of your ability, and ego really goes against that. When there's a very good leader, I mean, in general, when you see such a person, and now I cannot think of somebody exactly in real life because I don't know their psychology. I mean, that was, I'm always thinking about ancient times, so we cannot know exactly, but about somebody that lived thousands of years ago. But let's say that uh, whenever you see someone to make the best judge of a particular situation in history, is because they acted completely with the outside perspective. They try to put themselves in their enemy shoes. Let's say if it's about a particular army, army and particular fight, and you have to build a strategy, and you have to know your enemy. The more you know it, the more you can predict how they're going to organize, so you can organize yourself, all of that, and then you can just see how things could be and plan in advance. That's intelligent plus some wisdom. But if you get too confident in yourself and you're like, oh, but they are going to place their army on this this valley, but no, I'm just going to do like something totally different that has no base for it, but you're gonna do it because you think that your army is so strong that still going to defeat them no matter what they do as strategy. Then that means that your ego is talking and you're forgetting the reality of the situation, and you actually don't think why not why, but how their position of your enemy is actually affecting you or could affect you or your strategy. So that is where ego is very bad, and that's what Horus does throughout the heresy a lot of times. Well, he does use his military knowledge to really do damage, but he's also very emotional while doing it, and he's sinking more and more into chaos, so to speak. But that's yeah, I'm getting deviate from the yeah. So it's not intelligent that is the problem. It's how you use it, and intelligence on itself is not an issue. The other qualities that you have, like the ego, could be the issue. So we are multi-layered, and all of those layers that we have and how they communicate between each other is what is going to determine at the end of the day if we are decent human beings or whatever we are, emotional, intelligent, reasonable, not reasonable. We see nowadays that a lot of people are not more emotional than reasonable. That's why we have so many movements that create ridiculous situations and censorship that is not needed. But anyway, that's another topic. I hope that 40k will be as untouched as possible by all of that nonsense that we see these days. I hope. Okay, reading now. Before I can, yeah, I once again get completely into philosophical topics. Okay. Well, you're getting sorry, you're getting ahead of yourself. Okay, I mean, we're going to talk about, well, if you like these kinds of streams, the other books, and we'll see which one is good, which one is bad. I do have a list of all of that are supposedly the best. So I'm reading them in that order right now. I'm still on the Flight of the Eisenstein. It's a pretty big book compared to the other three, so yeah, and so far the only interesting thing is Nathaniel Garrow and, well, his prime arc, of course, but he's also interesting, but nothing. I mean, I'm not in the middle of the book, so I can't say, but like in the beginning, but still nothing that substantial in the terms of meaning. Well, except that you see how Nathaniel Garrow is, and his quality and as a warrior and Astarte, his principles, all of that, that's all cool. Far I'm not that further into the book to speak of it. Mortarion is interesting, drinking poison and all of that. Okay, I'm going to try to get to your comments as fast as I can so you don't see me sitting here in quiet. Okay. Okay, I don't know that yet about what Biggie led them, but we can talk about the Emperor some other time. I mean, so many things about him as well, and that, yeah, I've talked about him a lot of times, but there's still a lot more things to be said about the Emperor. I don't think that that's ever gonna end as a topic. Oh, yes, Zed. So, yeah, I was going to get to that about Loken and Torgadon's resistance. Oh, that was intense, intense to listen to that fight. And that guy, what was his name? Oh, I very much despise this guy from Fulgrim's Legion. You know who I'm talking about? Oh, come on, how? Damn it. Mm, I remember his name, but I just disliked him so much that I forgot now. But yeah, he's a sleazy, disgusting guy. And he's one of the best examples of Space Marines, how they could be so petty and human. I mean, nothing. Uh, it's just ridiculous, like I've said from the beginning, that they are written exactly like mere humans in terms of their character and their emotions. And when I also read how, for example, Astartes look at mortal men now, not everyone are the same. Of course, some care about human life a lot more, like Vulcan's Legion, the Salamanders, but others no. So others are like very um, into themselves, into their own butt, and they look down at humans. But at the same time, they're not more emotionally mature or in that way wise than them. They're actually worse in a lot of ways. Sometimes no, but sometimes yes. It's just that the Astartes are all individuals like humans are in the same way, and they all have positive and negative qualities. Some like to diss each other, to irritate each other, to make fun of each other, to make like disrespectful remarks. Some are a lot more respectful, have gravitas to them, uh, very different, each of them. Okay, continuing very quickly because I see that there are so many comments now on top of each other. Hi to AirWAD. Hi to you as well. Okay. Well, from the very start, okay, about Horus's ego, and hi Helios to you too. He was very respectful. I mean, all of that, I think it was into him. The seed was into him, and it was subconscious, like for sure. And then, as his role, I mean, as he grew in his role as a war master, that began to show more and more. And when the time came, he was exposed to the gods of chaos, and he was corrupted. But in order for the gods of chaos to corrupt someone, that someone has to already be open to that and okay with that. They have to give their consent in a way. They do. They cannot corrupt somebody that is super like pure, that is convinced in their evil, and that in the same time are convinced in the light of the emperor. Grey Knights and Sisters of Battle, let's say. I mean, it's about how you see the world and what you value. And although Horus valued the emperor, he himself had just a lot of insecurities because of the pressure that the emperor put on him, and then these insecurities started to build into self-defense mechanism, which was expressed through through that aggression towards the emperor. Aggression and resentment, it's what I mean. I mean, first it was resentment, then aggression, but it all happened so fast, guys. So fast. He was from 0 to 100 in such a fast way, and he killed and he slaughtered, and yeah, I'm very happy that some of his men, the ones that remained loyal, saw that and they were like, this is not correct. Because for them, it was something that this was extremely unprecedented to happen. For their Primarch, the Lord, I mean the War Master himself, to betray his father, the Emperor, that's just unheard of, unprecedented, more than shocking, and Nathaniel Garrow to believe that, that was awesome. I think this guy has a lot more honor and just all of, yeah, altogether he has like intuition about those things. He's just a good guy in his core. That's how I see them. Oh, we did, yeah, we did, by the way, see Sanguinius for a bit, but he was just basically trusting in Horus and his judgment, so he didn't actually say too much in the first book, I think. I don't remember about the second if he was still there, but that was just barely a glimpse of Sanguinius in his character, and he was voiced by someone that sounded like a grandpa on the audiobook, so I was not very fond of listening to his dialogue because it sounded ridiculous, like an old man. Okay. I just can't wait to find out about those two missing Primarchs. If there ever is like more revealed information. Yeah, Malkador is another topic on his own, but he is mentioned more in that fourth book, but not in the previous ones. Yeah, what can go wrong will go wrong. Well, not necessarily. Oh, thanks, dear Clyde. Okay. Okay. Comments. Comments ran away from me. Hold on. Have fun. Adieu. Crusading inwards. Actually, that's an amazing way to say it. I mean, we all have to crusade. Sorry for my pronunciation sometimes. Inwards. Look inside yourselves and all of those things, because in the end of the day, if you work on yourself, you're going to be a lot better in the outside world. If you work on your inside world, you're going to be a lot better on the inside world in a lot of aspects. Lucius. Lucius. Yes. Lucius. He was the sleaziest, most into his own butt, pompous guy ever. Yeah, he was very good with the blade, but he was a traitor. Like, it was obvious even before he became a traitor. It was obvious by the way that he acted. I was like, what is this guy doing with the lawyer? I can't say this English. With the loyalist, because actually he was just informed about what was happening and he just went along with it. So that's when I was like, oh, this guy, there is something here. I know it, because he just went along with it because it was the right thing to do. He didn't realize what is actually the situation, because if he did, he would totally turn, which he did when he found out how Horus was, how the other side, the dark side, was. He resonated a lot more with that than with the loyalists. So he didn't see why the heck he should be with them. They're like losers, and they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And he was like, I'm gonna F him, all them up. So, well, that's what he did basically. By the way, this Lucius, does he have anything to do with the demon Lucius? Just checking, the Slanesh demon. Actually, are they the same? Just let me know, because yeah, that was a question that I had. Hi to Robert. I usually don't like any persona that is negative, unless they have some kind of a quality that is not exactly negative, but if they have some kind of a real wisdom or reasoning to them. But I cannot think of such an example at the moment. Hi to Frank. What? Did he say that? If it can be perfectly beautiful, it will be perfectly ugly. Well, Fulgrim's Astartes are perfectionists, like Fulgrim himself. That's also very interesting to me in terms of how they fought compared to the other Astartes. Well, I don't. Even if I see something as a spoiler, I will not connect it to the book yet. There are a lot of, unless you're right that, let's say, well, I don't know, because I'm just at the beginning. So even if you mention someone's name that I have not gotten to that character, I will probably have no idea. Uh, even if I get to that person, I would have totally forgot their names by that point. So don't worry about it. Well, except one female character I just read about, and I saw a sister. I reached that point of the book where a sister of Silence met with Nathaniel Garrow, and she was still speaking. So he was like, "Aren't you supposed to be not speaking?" And she's like, "Well, I'm still being initiated, so I can still speak." And that was very interesting. But I don't remember her name, so even if you mentioned her in something major that's gonna happen with her character, I have no idea how she's called. So yeah. Desiree. Oh yeah, and that was so funny first time that when I heard that that planet is called Murder, and I'm like, what? This planet is called? Like, could it be like more obvious about what's gonna happen here? But on every planet they're murdering people, so that's also not that obvious if you think about that. It's like, well, it applies to all planets. Well, I hope I do fell in love with Nathaniel integrity. Well, yeah. I know that a lot of people love him, and I can see why. Even the fact that he shot the other ship and not his comrade, that was amazing of him. He believed him right away. Chris, hi to you. And thank you. Yeah, so he is a Slaneshi champion. That makes absolutely all the sense. Yeah. Lucius the Eternal. Okay, I was actually asking if Lucius, that guy, is the same as Lucius the Demon, which is in TTS, or I'm just mistaking the two. That was basically my question, guys. Ah, he's the one from TTS Laneshmas. So I'm right, he is. Okay, that's why he's so obnoxious. Oh yeah, thank you guys, thank you guys. Oh, it makes all the sense once again. Oh, Miro, hey. Oh, Miro, yeah, I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed after that. Someone kills him and feels joy about it. Lucius resurrect through their body. Yeah, I know about that. I know about that. I mean, I know about the demon. I'm sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Ah, okay, it passed. I know about that part, about the demon part, but I just didn't know they're the same. But if they're the same, that's great. So then I know his origin story and how he became. I mean, not how he became, but yeah, actually, yeah, how he became, how he turned to chaos, and why he is an obnoxious prick. Well, he is by his nature an obnoxious prick, but yeah. Hmm. I mean, if I was Fulgrim, and let's say, I mean, when he was still loyal, and if I knew that there was such a Astartes in my ranks, I would be like, okay, this guy is like a risk because he could snap any moment and kill his comrades just to prove that he's the best swordsman ever. Like, such a pride and ridiculous way of behaving to make yourself be like the center of the universe when that's not even the point. The point is to serve the imperium and the emperor and to actually be a freaking Astarte, a warrior, a soldier, to do your job, not to, you know, uh, to make out of yourself the biggest pompous ass there is. But I don't know, they don't do psychological assessment to their soldiers, I guess. Okay, so almost sneeze, but thank you. Okay, the virus bomb. Yeah, that was horrible. Just kill so many people, like the whole planet. Who cares about a life? Like, what the heck is life? Just death, death all the way. All the way, all the time, it doesn't matter. I mean, that was like how Horus was. So, okay, let's talk about that part because I think that that's what is interesting. I'm trying to also understand that the best way that I can. So here it's either good writing or it's not or it's not that good of a writing because it's not that flashed out. Yeah, I mean, how Horace turned in his thought process throughout all of this, how he agreed to everything, and okay, let's go back to that part actually where Magnus managed to appear and talk with him and be like, Horace, don't do that. And then Horace was like, ah, Magnus, but you're using the same sorcery and you're here, so basically saying, well, Magnus is like a hypocrite being here. Or that was the other guy that was with Horace and that was leading him on. But the point is that in this moment, Horace couldn't tell at first who was doing what. In the same time, yeah, he did know that that guy that pretended to be his right hand man was not. So obviously, Horus, you have to think in this case that somebody is trying to prove to you something and that they do have an agenda because they went out of their way to pretend to be someone that you respect. and maybe love in a way, in his own way. I mean, this Astardi, once again, his right hand. And I mean, they did that through deception fully, but then you're going to be like, oh yeah, I totally gonna believe them, gonna side with them, gonna turn against my father, who is all that I know in this life, that is a part of me, that made me, but I'm going to go against him because some guy pulled me in this uh, surrounding dream sequence, if you will, not exactly, but you know what I mean, and present me with all of those images of how I'm going to be like left behind, that we're the Primarchs, we're just tools of the Emperor and all of that. But he knew that they are tools. I mean, they are tools, but they are also his sons. And tools in the way that they are created for a particular purpose. Of course, they are. That doesn't mean that it's all they are. I mean, they can still be weapons for the imperium or for the emperor, and they can still be his sons. One does not exclude the other. If the emperor had biological sons, they will still go and fight his wars because they're his successors. So it's gonna be the same thing. Their function not gonna change just because he made them not in the normal way, but in this way in a lab. It doesn't make any difference genetically, uh, what kind of a quantity they are his sons or not his sons. They're still as much as his sons as ever, and they're still treated with a lot of respect. They have, like, for instance, Rebute Gilliman, freaking Rebute, that has his own system, Ultrama, that he's the leader of. It's part of the Imperium, of course, but the point is that the Primarchs have their own planets or systems that they have power over. Jagatai Khan as well has his own people. Everybody has something like that. They all have power. They're all treated like gods and all of that. So it's not like the emperor kicked them to the curb and disrespected the hell out of them and all of that. I mean, the first Primarch that he ever disrespected was Logar publicly, but it was, well, that was for a reason, but that's, other topic on its own, other video. Like, it's worthy to discuss how that happened. But the point is that um, for Horus to believe all of those things so fast and to turn against the emperor so fast, like he was some kind of a puppy that was kicked and spit on and disrespected. That was absolutely ridiculous to believe, to believe visions that may not ever happen quickly, and to decide to turn against the emperor for that. That's just absolutely ridiculous, to me at least. So for that to happen, he really has to have all of that made this happen already integrated into himself, like I said, subconsciously. If he was pure, at least moral, or with this dignity, integrity, all of the good qualities that you can think of that you can associate with Sanguinius, for instance, if he was like Sanguinius, in that matter, he would never be corrupted. But he is not. He's not. And Sanguinius, I think, was a bit too naive, at least to what I observed so far, because he did, when he appeared, I think, in the first book, he was like too trusting of Horus's judgment about everything. He didn't want to actually interject his opinions that much. He was just there, like, commenting, and he was like, well, I have my own duties, but let's see what you're doing here, bro. Okay, bro, well, do as you think that it's right, basically. Yes. Something like that, that was his position, or overall interjecting. Yeah, it wasn't interjecting that much. Yeah, that's what I mean. So yeah, guys. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that still, about all of that. But the point is that Horus did not have what, let's say, even Nathaniel Garro has within his heart. What connects the people that didn't turn against the Emperor is a lot of positive qualities and a lot more wisdom to them to see that the opposite side, the warp, the gods of the warp, all of that, is what they should fight against, and not join them. But from the Logar side, and from Horus side, it was, yeah, totally the opposite. They were already on the wagon, especially Logar, as you know. Well, Logar is, yeah, he was a fanatic religious, since the very beginning. That was his nature. And speaking about each and every Primarch's nature, since we just touch upon that, that is what is interesting as well, that each and every Primarch got something positive from the Emperor, but they got a particular flaw that defined them at the end. Something that defined them. Horus got ego. Yeah, I think so. That's, you can, if you have to summarize it with one word, it's going to be ego. So he got ego, very big ego that clouded his judgment, didn't allow him to actually create any kind of a wisdom. And he was still led by emotion and not led by intelligence and wisdom, but mostly by emotion. Sanguinius, it's, I think, a bit naive, like I said. He is very powerful and all of that, but I think that he is a bit too pure to the point where he cannot fathom such a treachery of the nature of what Horus did. So that creates this minus in his character, so to speak, vulnerable side of him. Each and every one of these things that I'm gonna list are their side, their minuses, what their flaw, what eventually led to their demise. Because if they are more complete in terms of character, if they all were the way that they're described, so intelligent and wise and above human, that would not happen. All of that would not happen. Whatever transpired, that would not happen. So when you split qualities, fragment them, and you put them randomly into particular beings, those beings are not going to be complete. They're going to be fractured in their nature, and what they're missing, of course, that's going to be their downfall. So think about that. So Horus is the ego. Sanguinius, I think, is too naive and too trusting, and he doesn't seem to give like a second thought about, I mean, he does not analyze if he does not see a reason on the surface that something could be off, So he doesn't like question things if he doesn't see a reason, although I think that those reasons or indications are obvious, but to him, it's just not in his nature to question something unless it's like right up to his throat now and it's ready to slit it, That is how it looks like from the first books. When I get to the other books and I see more of Sanguinius, maybe I'm going to, of course, change how I see him, but for now, this is how it looked like, at least how he is presented from this first book. Then, now I'm not going to get to all the Primarchs, but all the Primarchs have something about them. They're like, that is, this a very obvious flaw. Rogel Dorn is like maybe too pragmatic or too uh, how to say this? Well, he's a wood. He's a piece of wood in a lot of ways. Uh, yeah, basically, that's also the thing. The good Primarchs that did not turn, and they also have a lot of things to them that are not like super perfect. He likes to torture himself with the pain glove to create this discipline, but that could also lead to him not having a very good grasp on reality, maybe, and just endlessly fight and fight and fight and fight and just never stop, which basically maybe what happened, because we have no idea where the heck he is right now. Okay, not going to go up with all the Primarchs, but I think that if you, whoever you can think of, there's some kind of a flaw there that is very, very particular about that Primarch. Like, for sure. For sure. Okay, I'm stopping about that. So, I'm gonna look at your comments once again. But finally, maybe at the end, the point of all of this is that Horus did turn in a bit of a ridiculous way, like too easy. To me, that's like, once again, too easy, because it contradicts the Primarchs in a way, and in the same way it doesn't, because you see their flaws and they're obvious. So they're acting upon their flaws that you can already see, but they're described in this much higher way. So it's like the writers are saying, look, 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 these guys, they're so high above humans in every way. They're so smart, and paints this picture of this being that you cannot even perceive. You're going to just turn your gaze away when you see them in person. You're gonna be just feeling so small and insignificant when you see them. But then you also see their actions after that, and you're smacked in the face like, what happened? This guy did what? But he is supposed to be this amazing general and Primarch and all of that to the freaking Emperor himself. And he did what? Yeah. So contradiction does appear in their how they're described and what they do. Description, what they do. But basically about Horus is very distinctive. Yeah. And then how he went on this crusade on his own, trying to deceive his Primarchs, even talking about Sanguinius, how he's going to deviate his attention or whatever was that, I have to remember, but he basically said something about how Sanguinius is not going to be here or there, so he's not going to be in the way, but it was kind of implied that if he is in the way, he's going to destroy him anyway. So all of a sudden, he did not have any love for his brothers, like, at all. At all. Just the fact that he wants to rule the universe instead of his father, and that's it. Like, okay, when did that happen? I mean, I know when did it happen, but how did that happen so fast? You all of a sudden just dropped everything that you ever valued. And he was one of the Primarchs that spent the most time with the Emperor. So he has to have more of an idea of how the Emperor thinks, at least a little bit. I mean, some kind of a grasp of his character, and to feel how he feels. When you get to know someone, you can start to intuitively know how they feel, how they think. Maybe he does not have these spiritual qualities, but he should have at least some of them. He doesn't have to be a psyker to be in that connection, that intuitive connection with his father. Damn it. And like we said before, the Emperor is also implied to be much, 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 much more than the Primarchs. We know that. They're like a part of him, but they're not even half of what he is in terms of strength and wisdom. In the same time, once again, he does a lot of things that are not wise. So there's like, again, this contradiction he got when he found them all. Instead of spending as much as freaking time as he can to to be with them, to establish a relationship with them, to teach them personally some stuff. He was just, I mean, in the fastest way possible, he created roles for each and every one, and he was like, okay, go to a crusade, guys. Everything is awesome. You're gonna do it. I have another work to do, so you just go, do, conquer. Yeah, my sons, you're awesome. Yeah. Okay. I am stopping. I'm stopping. Gonna drink water, see what your guys are saying. Okay. Catching up. Okay. Oh, Engron. Oh yeah, Engron is in these books, yeah. Oh yeah, and Engron himself was almost bombarded because he was just there. So there was a question at some point, do we kill freaking Engron? And I think that Horus said no. But even that was like immediately when things did not go their way. Uh, Engron could also be have been like, Also, something that I was wondering when you said that the loyalists were let down there to fight, but they bombard them. Why they just didn't bombard them like at the beginning and been done with it? They left them alive to fight and stand their ground and position for quite a while before they actually finished them. Quick note that we did get a very good overview of Engron's legion and how they think, how brutal they are. So that was very interesting to read for the first time for me at least, and how the other legion, the Luna Wolves or the Sons of Horus, how they looked at them, that they thought of them as barbaric and too brutal. I just love when Astartes, one legion, is against other legion and they're like assess themselves and value themselves or judge themselves upon their significantly different characteristics. It's very interesting. Well, if Horus was never chosen for of Chaos, but it was Logar, how then Horus became the main guy by Chaos's actions, direct manipulation of him then? Where does it say that Logar was supposed? Logar, from the looks of it, at least before, if I don't read anything else that states the opposite, seems like his role from the very beginning was to initiate Horus. That was his whole idea. For now, I mean, from what I know from for now, is that he became he was the first that was susceptible to to fall into chaos. He did, and then because of him, because of his actions and all that he brought within himself, his whole legion and his most trusted people, I mean that he everything about him around him became working for chaos, and that led to Horus. And Horus's initiation was very deliberate, actually. So, and he was um, lied to. Well, lied to is not the right word, but he was conditioned literally to think that he's going to lead humanity, the imperium. He's going to replace the emperor. He's going to be on the throne. That was their deal. That was their deal. They're going to give him the power to kill his dad and be on the freaking throne. So that Chaos did that. Chaos didn't say to Logar, as far as I know, you are going to be the leader. Logar was like the lackey. He was the lackey of Chaos. He was the errand boy. Go and do that. Go fetch our menacing leader, please. Not leader of Chaos, but go fetch the guy that's the only most powerful Primarch to be able to kill the Emperor if we give him our powers. And he is the one that has the openings, the chink in his psychological and spiritual armor, the childish qualities that we need to manipulate him and to get him on our side quickly. That is absolutely obvious to me. So I don't know how that could not be true. Logar was always the beta guy and not the alpha guy. The guy that is very loyal, and he will go and he will serve, and that's what he did. He served chaos, and he served his role. So I think that that's what Logar was all along, and he did exactly that. And Horus was the main guy, and that's why it's called Horus Heresy. At the end of the day, because one guy was the initiator and the other guy was the initiated. Ah, yes, Dorn is stubborn. That's also a good. Yeah, yeah, that's true. We cannot agree that somebody has no flaws because there's no such thing as no flaws. Flaws. Even the freaking emperor has so many flaws that I'm gonna be here all night if I start to talk about that. Mother, I'm not a piece of tree. I'm a living, breathing, sentient being. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to imitate TTS, right? Because if we were in TTS sketch, that is what he's gonna say. The Emperor is gonna say, Dorn, my son, you are like a tree. I cannot talk like with a text-to-speech device, but it's gonna be basically like, no, son. Okay, let me try. Let me try to get into that. Emperor skeleton on the throne text-to-speech role. Okay, let me try. So, it's too funny. I have to try it. I can't. Okay, I have to do it. I have to do it. Okay. So, son, you're acting like a tree. Something like that. And Dora's going to be what you guys what you okay said. That's impossible, father. I cannot be a tree. I'm a living, breathing, sentient being. You know, his picture is like looking to the side. So, no, father. I can't. It's too funny for me. But if I could, it's gonna be very good. Okay. Oh, I forgot about Magnus to finish about him. Ivy, thank you. Okay, I'm finishing what your guys are saying. Hmm. The bombs did nothing the first time. I have to check that, but if that's the case, that's gonna answer the question. Okay, Nino, although, like I've said, he can be still the chosen one and not rule the empire. He is the chosen one, for sure. But why not chosen one to be the initiator? Like I've said, not the initiated. He is for that chosen for sure. But yeah, okay, I'm going to read that when I can. But nothing screams Horus is the guy more than Horus Heresy, you know. Horus was never meant to kill the Emperor, he was one to bring future he saw, and that future he saw, and that was all. When that's to bring the future that he saw, when the future that he saw, the Emperor was alive and well and was a god. So I'm not sure what you mean. Okay. The first law of chaos, never trust chaos. No, I don't think that they would say that. They would say, "Oh, trust me." They did. They did. They did actually. Alex, hi to you. Thank you. Blood for the blood god. Okay. That's a line from Star Wars. You're the chosen one. I have the higher ground. um, okay. Well, until it's canon that Emperor is alive, then I'm gonna say Emperor is alive. But for now, he is very funny on TTS. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot more to say. Basically, mostly about, well, how Magnus, I actually have no idea how he found out. I don't know if it was specified in the book how he found out that Horus was in this situation. Maybe he sensed it with his powers that Horus was trying to be, well, he was not trying to be corrupted, but that he had some kind of a influence on him in the warp in that moment. So he decided to intervene. That was good attempt on him. It's unfortunate that it failed. Uh, what to say about this? There's not really a lot to say about what he did, basically. Even if he did or he didn't do it, Horus still gonna, yeah, he was still going to do the same. Thank you, my son. Okay. Mm. If Magnus got told by Zinch, which I don't know where is that written, then Zinch helped. Basically, I mean, he helped for all of this to come to pass. Maybe Horus was even more convinced by the appearance of Magnus that he should turn, so that also could be possibility. Although once again, by the way that everything was written, it doesn't seem like Horus would not turn even if Magnus wasn't there. Magnus was there to convince him to not turn, but at the same time, his presence there is showing him that he is doing something behind the Emperor's back, and he is a hypocrite in a way. Although that is something that relates to, speaks about him and his character, does not speak about the Emperor or something that he did. It speaks only about Magnus and his nature and his interest into the warp. So if I was Horus, I would be like, okay, brother, you are here, but you're doing this against the Emperor's wishes, which once again does not say anything to Horus, should not say anything to Horus in that line of thought that, yeah, that's totally why should I turn against the Emperor. Is the opposite. He had a lot more reasons not to turn, because the other guy that tried to convince him was deceiving him, pretending to be someone else this whole time. So that is enough of indication that something is not right here. So he's like, oh, the Emperor is such a ass because that guy that deceives me is telling me that he's gonna become an ass. So that's why I'm going to become first an ass and go kill my dad and become the Emperor, because some guy that deceived me told me this. Horus, why? What are you doing? What? I can't. It just that's why I say it's ridiculous. Yeah, the Emperor has to be a lot more explored, because yeah, if he's not, there's just so many holes about his character that needs to be explored. Otherwise, it's like, what are you doing, Emperor? What are you doing? Why are you leaving your sons to be each on each its own and do a crusade that they are never prepared for, and to trust them so much with all of that, and there's not even like a good communication. I mean, for all he know, they could all like conquer different parts of the universe and joining against him. Um, and he and Malkador could drink tea in the same time and be like, oh, it's a wonderful day today. Oh, yes, yes, Malkador, it's amazing. Just clueless on Terra. Imagine that. Okay. Okay, guys, melee combat. Go and tell that to the Tao. Oh, that's gonna be funny. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go. Have to refresh myself and play some Assassin's Creed finally. So that's gonna be it for Thursday. We'll see what is tomorrow. But yeah, I wanted to really have this discussion with you guys, with I mean, for the all of the things that I think that are interesting. I hope that you enjoy this time with me. So yeah, again, we'll see about tomorrow, Friday, what I'm going to do, but I'm gonna try to stream for sure. And about 4K, I still have a lot of things to cover, so we'll see what's gonna be this time. In any case, thank you, LK, Nino, Squash, Alex, thank you, Logar, um, Tan, Plonk, Fum. I'm not sure if I didn't butcher your name, Dark. I hope I didn't. XD, Dear Clyton, DJ, Omoas5. That's awesome name. Rat, if you're still here, Vaughn. And yeah, I hope that I don't Zent, of course, that. I hope I don't miss anyone in the chat. But Frank, if you're also still here, Robert, it's Helios. It's Helios. Okay, guys, so RWAD. Oh, and Miro was here as well. Okay, dokie. So, really hope I don't miss anyone, guys, but if I did, my apologies. I hope that you have an awesome night. If you like to watch me kill stuff in Assassin's Creed, that's gonna be like in 20 minutes. Oh, David. Well, bye to you. If you like to support me, guys, the links are down below to my OnlyFans, which I will have an announcement about in a few days. I'm adding something to the content there, additional stuff that I'm very excited about. Other than that, you can check also the membership, and you can get some awesome 40k icons to use in the chat and other cool stuff each month if you choose some of the other options. Patreon, all those good stuff. I appreciate everything, guys. Thank you very much for the support. Have an awesome night and great Friday. Till next time with me, Gary G. Reviews, kisses, and hugs, my lovely Gary T's awesome golden star days. Bye bye.